What's up everybody, it's Jeremy here from Ocean Bound, and this is the second week of my month-long tear of riding some awesome F1 demo gear. And this week I wanted to talk about their new ML boards. So as the time that I filmed this, I have not seen F1 post anything about these ML boards on their website. I usually like to read what the designers and the marketers kind of have in mind and then put it to the test and give my thoughts. So this time I'm flying blind, going by feeling, and I can only assume what F1's doing in some of these things. I could totally be wrong, so fingers crossed, here we go. To start with, F1 has 4 sizes of these ML boards. I requested the 90 liter, which is their second smallest. I know their smallest is a 78 liter. I own an Armstrong 75 liter ML board, and I got that to replace my previous board, which is a 75 liter. I like easy, but I also like performance. Last time I got to try some F1 gear, I only had it for like a week and a half, and it's summertime around here, so the winds were light. I tried to get as many sessions as possible, but ultimately I had some smaller foils and gear that was just hard to ride in the conditions. So with that thought, I was kind of like, let me go a little bigger than my 75 liter, so at least I could try to kind of paddle it if there wasn't any wind. So it's hard for me to articulate this, but I feel like Armstrong and F1 are tackling the ML boards from different angles, and I appreciate that they seem to be just doing their own thing. I feel like Armstrong seems to want to appeal to more of the surf crowd, more smaller ML boards in their lineup, and stuff that you can both prone and wing with. I feel like F1 is looking at it as more of like a cross between their regular wing boards and their downwind boards. And they're like just taking the best parts of both designs. I'd say these boards are more focused on winging, which is cool because I don't prone. I don't think either way is wrong. Armstrong has a little less volume and is a little longer, whereas the F1s are a little shorter with a little more volume. Both my 75 liter and this 90 liter ML are both 20 inches wide, but the 90 liter is 3 inches shorter. So let me talk about some of the cool stuff that I see on this F1 board. The bottom just in general is pretty flat. There's not like a concave or a double concave. There is a double step, kind of like on the hull or a float of a seaplane. I think this is to facilitate takeoff of the foil because it creates more of an angle that the board can lift, but it also interrupts the adhesive properties of the surface of the water. The tail on this board is like chopped and flat. This cuts down on length, but I feel like it also makes the back a little wider, which can help with stability. I also really feel like this tail design helps give it kind of good push as a wave comes up behind it. The sides or rails of the board are very flattened out. My first 70 liter wing board a few years ago had similar flat sides, and I really liked that blocky design. I feel like from my experience, the flat sides help it move through the water really clean and efficiently. The top of the board is pretty flat. There doesn't seem to be a ton of rocker involved, but the deck is recessed a little bit. It's a gradual recess, which is the deepest in the front, kind of near your front foot, and then kind of is done by the back of the pad. But you can feel a little bit of lip on the rails, which gives you just a little bit extra leverage on like the heel of my front foot or the toes of my back foot. The front of the deck in general has just a slight gradual curve, which allows water to roll off easy. These track inserts to help keep the hardware in is cool. These don't come with the board, but they're like $7 a pair, and I highly recommend you picking them up, especially if you're not switching out your hardware between boards that often. Also, there is a handle. I'm sorry, but neither of my Armstrong boards right now have handles, and it's annoying. I'd say like 90% of your average riders out there appreciate a handle over the reduced drag or weight of not having one. So, thanks F1, I appreciate that. Okay, so let me talk about riding it. I've ridden this thing for 8 sessions so far. 4 winging on flat water, 1 winging in waves. The rest were paddling. 2 of those were on flat water and 1 was paddling in waves. The size of this board is great for me. I know the 78 liter would work for me too, but I don't mind the extra volume. Or should I say, it doesn't feel as big as it is, you know, which totally surprised me. Honestly, to me, it feels like a 70-something liter board. It's got great float to it, but the design makes it really easy to also kind of punch through waves as you're first getting out. Because it's only 20 inches wide, it's a little less stable when you're standing on it with no forward movement, but as soon as you start moving, that just all goes away. But in general, it does feel relatively stable. It's probably because of the flat bottom, and I'm thinking also the back having a little more width helps give it stability too. Because it's long and skinny, you can get great speed for takeoffs. That helps a lot with, say, like the Eagle foils, which at least in my experience, I feel like you need a little bit more speed to get them up than other foils. Because of the float and the volume, it's great for sup paddling. I took it out and supped some waves and found it really easy to kind of get up when the conditions were like knee to waist high. When the waves are the right height, it didn't really take a lot to get up on foil. I feel like the chopped tail and also the design of the tail helped give it a little push. I tried to paddle all of the FOne foils that I got up on the flat, and that didn't really work. They're just not big enough and my skill level's not there. But I went back out on a different day and tried it with my big Armstrong pump foils and was able to get this thing up fine. So it paddles good, you just need the right skill or foil to be able to get it up on the flat. The nose on this is really nice. There's not like a ton of volume in the nose, but there's decent volume, and with its shape, it would kind of bounce back out and out of the water without getting too dug in. This is first evident to me when I was supping waves with it. I was getting used to my stance and whatnot, and I was, you know, paddling and bearing the nose here and there, and it would just pop back out of the water and it wouldn't cause me to break that much. I think if I could dial in my mast position, that would just go away, but it was still nice and forgiving for that session, so I just think that's a good trait. The 20 inches wide is pretty narrow, but man, it is great for turning. And that's what ML boards are so nice for. And it was really awesome with these bigger FOne foils that I have, because all of them, I can get the wingtips out really nicely in aggressive turns. There's no substantial drop, so I've just been totally stoked on them. The board comes with inserts with straps with like a V configuration in the front. I put on some FOne foot straps I already had, and my feet were just already in the perfect spot. I haven't put a back strap on it yet, so I haven't really jumped this ML. Side note, I've just used 4 different brands of V straps over the last 3 years. These are the best I've found, both comfort and durability. Definitely recommend their foot straps. Just being real, worth noting, I feel like the deck pad was a little slippery. That could totally go away with time. I have an older Rocket sinker board, which I love the deck pad on. I compared the two and they were different. The older one was more like a straight up corduroy. Worth mentioning, my friend saw this board and immediately wanted to get one for foil drive. I really wanted to give that a shot before I shot this video. We just didn't have time. He thinks that the sport battery will definitely fit with the step, but he was thinking he could make a shim to use with the max battery or the full battery. The steps on the bottom should make it, you know, a really cool design to be able to like easily break off the water surface. Okay, so I love this board more than I thought I would. I thought it would feel bigger than it does. It absolutely doesn't feel like a 90 liter to me. It feels small for what it is, but the design makes a difference in performance, especially carving and cranking turns, and it definitely excels in lighter wind. You can sup it. I'm sure you could prone it, you could foil drive it, but I think this thing is pretty dialed for winging, both hard charging and light sessions. I think it'd be great for a one board quiver that offers just a little bit more than the regular rocket wing, in my opinion. So check it out. All right, thanks so much for watching, everyone. This is video number 2 of my month of FOne awesomeness. More soon on the bigger foils like the Skate 1150 and the Eagle X 1000, and I'll also be covering the new Strike CWC with the hard handles. I'm stoked on that. So feel free to click the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Drop me a comment, ask any questions, or just say what's up. I love interacting with you guys, and with that, I hope all of you are doing well out there. I'll see you soon on the flip, and I wish you all an awesome day. Later!